Welcome to our show, Near-Death Experiences, Exploring Heavens and the Afterlife, Part 17 of a multi-part series. For centuries, humans have had a mystical curiosity about the afterlife. We have many questions and always wonder what is there for us after we leave this physical body and journey beyond death. Today, we have the incredible privilege of hearing firsthand from people who have had near-death experiences, or NDEs. These individuals have visited the other side and are here to share their life-changing experiences with us. In this series, we explore their NDEs and hear about their personal experience of meeting God and traveling to the afterlife. In today's show, we will take an in-depth look at the NDE of Ms. Penny Whitbroad, a public health educator and retired critical care nurse. In 2015, on a normal day while at home with her daughter, Ms. Penny Whitbroad experienced a life-threatening allergic reaction called anaphylaxis. She quickly administered her EpiPen medical device and then was rushed to the hospital. When Ms. Whitbroad was finally taken into an emergency care room, the doctors could not place an IV into her veins to administer medication. Then, all of a sudden, she stopped breathing. The room went dark, and she awoke looking at her body in the hospital bed.
I popped out of my body so I could see what was going on. And so I'm kind of watching and I'm thinking, man, who is that girl? She's pretty sick. I was so depersonalized. I didn't realize that was me.
Soon, Miss Whitbroad found herself in an immense black void that she felt unable to escape.
I was in this expanse that was so dark, and it seemed limitless to me as far as its space. And there was an oppressive nature to it, and I was just stuck there. I couldn't figure out how to get out, and time there really gets away from you. And so I always tell people, if I had to compare this earthly time with the time that I spent in the void, I would say it was probably about 10 years. I began to wonder if I had ever really lived. Like maybe I just imagined all of that to have something to think about in that place.
Ms. Whitbroad began to question whether her being stuck in this void was somehow tied to herself, wondering if she was the key to her own escape.
Finally, I started doing some introspection and saying, is there something that I need to understand or learn before I can leave here? Or maybe it's me. Maybe I'm why I'm stuck here.
This led Ms. Whitbroad to a deep inner discovery.
And it just occurred to me that the spiritual space that I was in was a picture of the spiritual space that I had made on the earth realm. Since my divorce many years ago, I had built this wall around myself to protect me and protect the kids. And a wall's great to protect you, but it also keeps people out and it keeps you in. And so the isolation that I had built on this side followed me over. As soon as I figured out that this was the eternity that I had created, as soon as that realization happened, there was this rumbling and it exploded open.
As this darkness shattered, the spirit of Miss Whitbroad's grandmother came to comfort her and give her sage advice.
Her energy was just amazing. I could feel her loving me. And I asked her, I said, am I dead? And she said, oh, no. She said, it's like you learned in science. Energy can't be just created or destroyed. It just changes forms. It's true here too. So you don't die. You either are alive on the earth side or you're super alive on this side. And it's just this transition.
Then God appeared to Ms. Whitbroad and conducted a life review. At first, she thought God would judge the inappropriate actions she felt ashamed of. Instead, God showed her the immense ripple effect of a simple act of kindness she performed many years ago.
There was a scene in the grocery store that I had forgotten about. I mean, probably when my kids were little. There was a woman in line in front of me, and she was short just a couple dollars to pay her bill. And she was trying to figure out what to put back. And I just knew what it was like to be in that position as a young mom. And I said, it's okay, I've got it. And I gave her the money. So I'm seeing this scene like I'm there. And immediately it flashes forward, and I see this woman working in a food pantry. And she's blessing these people with food. And God's showing me, he's like, I want you to see the ripple effect of every little act of kindness. And I saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
After being shown the positive ripple effect of a kind action, God revealed to Ms. Whitbrod the truly negative behaviors that we should abstain from in our daily lives. Harmful thoughts, words, and actions directed toward others.
So he showed me that when you have a negative thought about that person, that energy goes out there and it attaches itself to that person. And you contribute to the jerk that person is. Now you've attached more of that energy to them. This is why forgiving is so important. So when you forgive people, people say, oh, it's not for them, it's for you. It is for them, because if they don't receive some measure of forgiveness, that energy is still attached to them and it can't come away. The energy's got to go somewhere, because not only does that negative energy go and attach to them, but it attaches to you, and energy attracts energy. So if you're harboring all of these negative feelings about people, even if they're well-deserved, you're just drawing more of it to you because that energy isn't attached to you. And wow, I mean, that's life-changing information.
Through the NDE, Ms. Whitbrod realized she had held onto a deep-rooted anger towards God for the emotional pain she and her children suffered from her previous husband. Sensing this, God then showed her how this past trauma would lead to a better future for her family.
He said, oh, you've completely misunderstood me. And he said, let me show you something. And we flash forward, and we're sitting in the bleachers. David, my oldest son, is sitting to my right, and Cole's older. He's like 5 or 6, my grandson is. And we're watching him play soccer. And he's running up and down this field, and the sun's on his hair. And you know that magic of just kids, you know, there's just something about it. And David looks at me and he says, Mom, I'm going to be the dad to him that I deserved. If it took his dad leaving for him to make that commitment, I get it. You know, it's been worth it.
A few years after the NDE, the vision came true in real life.
Because a couple years later, Cole's playing soccer. Who would have known that at 2, right? Cole's playing soccer, and David looks at me and he says, Mom, I'm going to be the dad to him that I deserve. I mean, it just sucks the air out of you. I'm like, oh my gosh, that happened. And it was this confirmation from God. You were here, and I'm making manifest the things that I promised you.
Ms. Whitbrod believes we choose the hardships we will face in life before we come to Earth.
Before we come to this life, there's actually a decision-making process that we go through with some consultation of spirit guides and things like that about what family we want to come to and what general lessons we'd like to learn while we're here. Before you came, you knew what traumas you were going to face. And you were like, that's the life I want to live. I want to have those lessons because those are going to contribute to the growth of my spirit.
Toward the end of her NDE, Ms. Whitbrod experienced the profound realization that God is in every single one of us, even those who do not believe in Him.
I get to this more core part of myself, and God's there. And it blew me away. I'm like, whoa. Do you mean to tell me you've been in there all the time? You're not this external thing? And he's like, well, I'm kind of both. And I'm like, so all of us, even the people that don't believe, God is in there. And he's like, you can't take me out any more than you could take out your own father's DNA. I made you. I'm telling you, I'm in there. And I'm just waiting to love you.
Then it was time for Ms. Whitbroad's spirit to return to her physical body.
And I woke up, I was off the ventilator, my sister was standing there, and the first thing I said was, I was with God.
Wow, what a remarkable near-death experience. Thank you, Ms. Penny Whitbroad, for your important messages from the afterlife. They remind us of the importance of doing good deeds, thinking positively about others, being grateful for the life we are given, and knowing that we are always connected to God.
Vegan, we are in.
Lovely viewers, thank you so much for joining us today on Near-Death Experiences, exploring heavens and the afterlife, part 17 of a multi-part series